Hello again, Internet. I'm in a small town in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, and I can't sleep, so I'm going for a walk. And thought I'd just have a little talk or something. I don't know, new video format. And yeah, so what to talk about? Well, there's all these old buildings, but honestly, other than saying, "Oh, that looks neat," I don't know anything about most of them. So I just got passed by a couple of at least noisy cars. I don't know if they're fast, but they were definitely noisy. So why not talk about that? About people going faster. There's a time when the best speed you could get out of a person was running, and not even running all that fast given modern athletics. And over time, running did get faster with people training specifically for it. Proper running shoes, paths that are ideal for running on. But of course, the fastest runners in the world still are pretty slow by modern standards. I mean, compared to even like a Yugo, the world's fastest runner is pretty slow, although much better acceleration. So what happened? Well, it seems that sometime someone saw a fast animal. They said, "Hey, what if I got on top of that fast animal? Then I could be a fast animal." And presumably the first person that did that, or tried to do that, got eaten by a tiger or something. But after a few tries, maybe someone figured out, these horses really don't like being ridden, but I can survive it long enough for them to give up. And that's how we got horses. And presumably several other animals that we use as transportation, or at least that we did use as transportation at one point. Now it's more for fun or religious reasons or whatever. And for a long time, that's where we were. I mean, we did have wheeled vehicles, but they were pulled by animals. We had chariots, for example, very fast, but maybe even faster than a single horse in some cases, but still not that fast. A horse isn't that fast. Again, a Yugo can outrun a horse. So how do you get faster than the horse? Well, sailors arguably got faster than the horse occasionally, at least in terms of miles per day, or any given distance per day, because the horses, of course, get tired and sails don't. But top speed, still owned by the horse for thousands of years, until someone figured out that you can use steam to make work. All you have to do is kind of find a way to grab onto that steam and make it push something or pull something, and then all of a sudden you can attach that to a wheel or to a generator or to anything that turns, really. Maybe a lathe or a mill or something else that you're going to use to make even better stuff in the future. You can detach that. And then, if that engine is good enough, it can be attached to something that moves. So maybe a boat, maybe a cart you could attach a motor to or an engine to. Maybe a bicycle you could attach it to. You might have to beef it up a little bit, but it's basically still a bicycle, just has a motor, right? Or an engine. Call it an engine cycle. No, that doesn't sound right. What would we call that? So yeah, that was pretty much just the logical thing. If you've got an engine, you're going to strap it to something that moves, because why not? That just sounds like fun. Eventually, those engines got good enough that those moving things, those moving buggies and such, are actually faster than horses. Even came a time where the worst, slowest options available are well over twice the speed of a horse. And they can sustain that. It's not just momentary like with the horse. And of course, again, boats also did this, but they were somewhat limited because, well, these days it's possible to have over 8,000 horsepower in a drag racing car, and it weighs almost nothing, which means it can accelerate at an incredible speed, or incredible acceleration rate, and reach an incredible speed in just a quarter of a mile, and also stop. And those engines in there are like over 8,000 times more powerful than the engines in the first cars. But nonetheless, when one of those drivers in a top fuel car powered by nitromethane reaches top speed, they're still going slower than most airplanes. And there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, airplanes go high up in the air where there's nothing to get in the way and hit you, or you hit it. And well, those are the main two things. You don't have to worry about air resistance as much, and you don't have to worry about steering around stuff, slowing down, braking, turning, and all that. And you do have to do some of that stuff. You don't have to do it as immediately as in a car. But also, these days, the engines are a big part of it too. Because if you look back, or even if you just look at the lower end of like hobby airplanes, they're not very fast. And some of the early airplanes were just dead slow. And one of the things that limited planes for a long time was the prop speed. Well, sort of limited them for... Okay, forgot about a few things. This hardly limited airplanes for any time at all, because by the time it started being a problem, they were in World War II, and by the end of World War II, there'd be jets. So, yeah, actually, to come to think of it, it hardly affected... And it was a major thing that definitely affected things. Definitely a lot of work to develop it and get it right. But the time between running into the limit of prop airplanes and the time when jets became a thing that existed, there really was no time between those. So jets have a few advantages. Below supersonic speeds, subsonic speeds, jets have an advantage that they don't have to break the sound barrier, or that they can go faster before they break the sound barrier. Being that on a prop plane, the tips of the propeller are always going to be going faster through the air than the airplane body itself. So you could be well below the speed of sound for the plane as a whole. Well, the tips of the prop are starting to break the sound barrier and do all sorts of weird things to the air around you, and rattle the plane, shake it. Who knows? Might cause a crash even. Whereas with a jet, Well, it can still reach those same speeds, or probably even higher speeds around the outside, but it's designed so that it's all encased, and so it doesn't have those same problems with just messing with the airfoils that are being affected by the change from the prop. Also, as you may know, supersonic jets exist, and there's a lot to that, a lot to getting through the sound barrier without crashing, and also a lot to making a jet that works well above and below the speed of sound, because air acts very differently at different speeds or at different pressures. But yeah, over time we've been able to get some pretty fast jets, especially if we put them really high up in the atmosphere where the air is real thin. They can go real fast. But ultimately they are in air, which is a bit of an issue. They're mechanical things, which is good, and it really is a good thing in general, but if you're trying to reach the very top speed, not always the best thing. Because what can go a lot faster is a rocket, which is kind of what an afterburner is in a way, but not really. But a rocket can go to many times the speed of sound. The limit is effectively what can your pilot survive, or what can your cargo survive, because they can go faster than that, or they can accelerate harder than that, and as long as they're burning, they're accelerating. They're going faster and faster and faster, especially as they get out of the atmosphere and they're in outer space, which is almost a complete vacuum. So they can go incredibly fast. That's the fastest humans have ever gone thus far is on rockets. I think I'm at the end of the historic district. I don't see a sign, but I see new houses up ahead. So I guess this church and the building next to it are the end of the district, unless I can find a sign. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this new format. If you did, leave a comment. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. This is entirely experimental. I have no idea if people like this, so please let me know. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Goodbye, Internet.